I just wanted to give a shout out to this movie because a lot of people wonder where a personality like this comes from. Some people with a rude tone and some people with a positive tone.
Welcome to Guys Greetings, fuckers. How you doing? Keep dry. Bring an umbrella. Welcome to another episode of Guys We Fucked.
It's the Anti-Slut Shaming Podcast. I'm Corinne Fisher.
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson.
Welcome to the show. Los Angeles.
LA, baby.
If you are in Los Angeles or if you'll be visiting Los Angeles on May 11th.
May 11th, it's a Saturday.
Krystyna Hutchinson
And Corinne Fisher.
We are part of the Netflix Is a Joke Festival, and we will be doing Guys We Fucked podcast style live interview.
Yeah, we will.
On Saturday, May 11th at 9:45 p.m. at the Regent Theater. This is a big deal. This is a big show. This is a big festival.
Yes.
We need you to buy a ticket.
We need you to buy a ticket now.
Now.
Can you
last minute ticking buying, guys.
Stressful.
Of course, we appreciate when you buy a ticket anytime, but I don't think you understand the personal pressure that these venues put us under.
I don't want Netflix mad at us.
Yeah, like if you don't, sometimes like if it's like so many tickets sell like day of, and that's lovely, but you know how close you get to canceling shows
And giving me diarrhea.
and just a nonstop lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. We're too old for that. We can't do that anymore.
We're in our 30s.
We cannot do that anymore. So Regent Theater, May 11th, Los Angeles, Netflix Is a Joke Festival. You can go to the Netflix Is a Joke website. You can go to the ticket links in our bios. The information is there. It's going to be spectacular.
It's going to be way different than the LA show because this is going to be a formal podcast interview.
It's going to be the podcast.
There'll be some interaction, but it's going to mostly be us talking and then a very famous surprise guest.
Yeah, because it's a fancy big theater that we're in. That's why. And we even got a musical guest to open the show, so it feels like an actual cohesive episode of the podcast. We will be joined by Joel Ronson. I mean, he's his own person, but it is John Ronson's son.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
All
Your
right.
dad's that cool.
Yeah.
You got to say something.
Come on.
Yeah, you can't. He wrote so many books.
Yeah, and if you can believe it, Joel, even more British than John.
It's
I don't know how that happened.
crazy.
I don't know how that happened.
You talk to him, and you're like, damn, dude, you're British as hell.
It's like talking to a scone. It's delightful.
Yeah.
It's
At
delightful.
high tea.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So you're going to get those tickets, and we'll give you a moment right now to do so. Write yourself a note.
Yeah.
Stop the car, pull over.
Yeah. Just wrote a note to do it right after. The link's in our bios, all of our bios.
Ask it for a gift. Do you have a birthday coming up?
Yeah.
That's a perfect gift. Just say it in front of your husband or your partner. Or
are you dating somebody super hot and you want to make sure you're still dating them on May 11th? Get them tickets and let them know. And put it in their calendar and then they have to come.
Go with your sister.
Go with your mother.
Go with your dad. Go with your pet, but it has
to
go
with your unborn child in your stomach.
A service dog.
Yes. And we will want to pet it after.
We want to pet it after.
Make sure you make that happen. Okay.
Okay.
If you want to email us, it's sorryaboutlastnightshow@gmail.com. Today's subject line: do I have to get married before my dad gets dementia? Hi, Corinne and Krystyna. I'm a longtime listener and fan. Love getting your perspective on something I have been going through. My boyfriend and I have been together for 9 years. We are constantly nagged with the question of, so when are you going to get married? Or, so why aren't you married yet? Why does everybody care? You know what I mean? It's your life. They're not in the relationship. I often get these questions, more so than my boyfriend does. We have compared. I don't really care about a wedding or the idea of marriage. It sounds like the biggest burden in the world to plan and spend $30K for a wedding. I'm cheap and do not enjoy being the center of attention. Okay, yeah, so a wedding's just not for you, dude.
Yeah.
I find the questions to be annoying and I brush them off for the most part. My partner feels similarly. And we both had an open conversation that we don't feel the need to really have a wedding, nonetheless even get married. Then fucking don't ruin a good thing, boo. I'm absolutely not knocking anyone else getting married or having a wedding. I love me a good time and a fun wedding. Girl, me too. But it just has never really been a priority for us. Recently, my dad has been dealing with some health issues. I'm 30, my dad is 70. He has what is called mild cognitive impairment. He takes a test every year called the MOCA assessment. That essentially tests his memory, attention, concentration, cognition, and a few other parameters. We trend his score each year, which has been relatively stable for the past 3 years. As the test score declines, it is considered that cognitive impairment is worsening on a 30-point scale. This test does not tell us if this cognitive impairment will ultimately turn into something like dementia or Alzheimer's. Anyway, I can certainly see a change in my dad for the worse. It's very difficult for me to see his memory declining. Yeah, that must be hard. And not remember a conversation I had with him just the day before, or start to forget family members' names. He recently came to visit me in California, and all I could think of was, is he even going to remember the best parts of our time together on this trip? Tough questions to face. To put the two together, I am now, for the first time in this relationship, feeling the pressure of time. I feel as though I have to get married before my dad forgets a special day, such as being at his daughter's wedding. I can't imagine these life events without my dad being present, or worse, present but not mentally present. I ask you two for perspective, giving both of your experiences. Corinne, I know your father passed away. I'm so sorry for your loss. Did you have similar thoughts when your dad was sick? Not necessarily regarding marriage or wedding, but any anxiety surrounding not having such an important person in your life present for life's milestones. How did you deal with these thoughts? Krystyna, I asked the same for you, as I recall you saying a long time ago, sorry if I'm shabby on the details, that your mom had been diagnosed with a type of memory disorder.
She forgot she was being a bitch.
I'll get to that in a moment. So fucked up. And it was causing you to spiral into thoughts about having children with your boyfriend. Could you imagine if I did it at the time, because you could not imagine your mom not meeting your kids?
Oh, God.
Sorry. I'll tell you why that's funny in a second.
Oh, man.
Hoping to hear your perspective and curious what your experience is with this, or honestly, any listener who has a similar experience.
Nancy, all-time prankster.
I get it from my mama, what their experience has been like. Thanks so much for taking the time to read it. Sorry it's so long. Girl, it ain't long. It's okay. The reason I laugh is because I forgot that I said that, first of all. My mom probably didn't because her memory's fine. I don't know what to say, but she's fine.
A lot of false alarms.
She told me. My whole fucking life is just. Could you imagine if I took her word for it? What did I say? I feel like I said.
I mean, there was one. Okay, so we were
a couple years to live.
There was a city that we were in,
Miami. It was Florida.
Okay, so I was right. I was thinking Florida, but I was like, we weren't in Florida that many times together, and you were like, I remember beside yourself in the hotel room about this.
Yes, I remember we were eating at the downstairs, and I was just like, well, I guess my mom's gonna die in a couple. I was so heartbroken and like grieving kind of prematurely.
And then my dad died first.
Yep.
No contest. Not even close. She's doing great, I think.
She's fine. She's fine.
She's jogging on the beach.
Yeah. So did she exaggerate her diagnosis for sympathy? One will never know.
Yeah.
If I had to bet my money on it, that is currently not mine in my bank account, and it's all in my parents' house in Jersey.
Yeah.
I would say she did.
Yeah.
Thank God I did not have children with Steven because I wanted her to meet my oh my God, what a death sentence that would have been.
So rule of thumb before we get into the nitty gritty is if you're doing something so in your life that is huge so that someone else can enjoy it, you're living your life incorrectly.
Yeah. I mean, it just as much as the reason you're being asked all these questions of when you're getting married, it's the same, like that factor at play is the same factor at play for you feeling like you need to rush a moment that you don't even know if you want.
Yeah.
And I would say, I think the solution here is to spend more time with your father on FaceTime, over the phone, and in person as much as you can. Obviously, I feel like he lives far away if he has to fly to you.
Yeah, you don't need to create these. He's not a little baby. You're not their parent. You don't need to create memories. You don't need to create your daddy's first birthday. I think it's like your parents, if they have the relationship that they should with you, they just want what's best for you.
Yes.
So like anytime we get into this territory of like my mom wants me to have this kind of a wedding. My mom or dad wants me to meet this person. Like your parents, unfortunately, then don't have your best interest at heart, right? Like my parents, like it's not like they were like faultless or something. No one is, but they never pushed me to do anything that I didn't want to do unless it was something that would truly like be of service to me. Like I live my life the way I want to. And I mean, sure, things have come up over the years like, Corinne, do you have any money? Why do you not have any money? And I go, I'll handle that.
Just wait.
Like that kind of a thing. But that was because they were worried about my welfare. And I just have a little bit of a loosey-goosier approach to things, a little bit more into like taking a big risk because, for me, big risk, big reward. And obviously it paid off. It's not gonna pay off for anyone, but like, So like, did these questions come up? I mean, I remember having like a thought when my dad first died, and I think I talked about it on this show, like, oh, now I don't have to get married because my dad's dead. I don't really feel that way anymore. That was just like a passing feeling. Lots of feelings will pass during that time. But yeah, I mean, you know, basically like once your parents certainly turn 70, like, I think it's time that everyone really acknowledges the fact that like death is coming, and like, yeah, they might live till 90, they might live to 100. I have a lot of family members, you know, like who lived to their late 80s, to their, you know, my great aunt lived till 96, but that's because she didn't get married or have kids. And that woman chain smoked. So she really was trying. Yeah, I mean, I just think like, yeah, and spend time with your dad. And also like this preoccupation that you have with worrying about him forgetting things. Like, yeah, him in this realm might forget it, but I really do feel like these things like kind of just download into your soul. And so even when my dad had severe brain damage and I was talking to him, and it's, you know, and he's eating pudding and getting it all over himself. And, you know, just like in this world seemed like just absolutely gone. Like I knew he really was taking things in. And so you just have to kind of have faith about that. And I don't mean like Christian faith. I just mean faith in whatever, even if it's just like mortal faith. But yeah, if it feels to me like you're going into panic mode and it's anxiety that makes you want to get married, it doesn't seem to me like you actually want to get married. Yeah. Listen, you've been with this guy for 9 years. I think if you get married or if you don't get married, it doesn't matter because it seems like this is your person. But also like you're only 30. So a lot of times there is this like first long relationship that we get into that's like a decade. And a lot of people actually leave that relationship. I know many people who in their youth were in a 10 or similar length relationship, and that is not the person that they end up spending the chunk of their the biggest chunk of their life with.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always so happy I didn't marry Steven. Oh God, I'm so happy for that all the time, because boy, he would have taken all my money when we got divorced.
Yeah,
because he already tried to, and we weren't divorced.
You wouldn't have thought to sign a prenup?
Yeah, I would have. Oh, I would have, I guess. Yeah, maybe I would have saved if I got married to him. But
right.
Also, so I have two more things. So as somebody who lives a life that it kind of bucks the tradition of talking to your parents. So I'm kind of, I don't want to say, I'm going against the grain, for lack of a better term, against society's grain of like, well, they're your parents, you should talk to them. You can say that to me all day, that's fine. But like my inner peace is so priceless. So I will say living your life on your own terms is a gift that will never stop giving. If the idea of a wedding does not appeal to you, and you're right, $30K for a party, like, ugh, that's awful.
Spend that flying to visit your dad instead.
Yeah. Over a course of several years, you could do that.
I just was actually talking to another friend of ours whose father passed away this morning. And I told her how much I spent visiting my dad while he was in hospice. And she was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
Never lost a wink of sleep over it.
Yeah. And how would you think of like spending that much of your money on a wedding that you don't want to have versus spending a significantly lower portion of that amount of money to have more quality time with your dad? I think that's way worth it. And then the other thing I wanted to say, my boyfriend's mother has dementia, and it's really tough. She just forgets stuff. She's a lovely, lovely, lovely woman. But yeah, I know how tough that is. And this is just a woo-woo thing that I'll never know if it's true. So take it with a grain of salt. But Laura Lynn Jackson has two stories in her books about, she's like, sometimes when a patient has dementia or Alzheimer's, or a client, I'm reading a client and their mother has dementia or Alzheimer's, the mother will actually come through in the reading because she's half in and half out of her body. So I can actually communicate with her. And I thought that was really interesting. And then she just made a note to say that, you know, if a loved one is dying and they can't speak, they can't open their eyes, or if they have dementia that's so severe that they don't know where they are, but you do talk to them and you do spend time with them, that does register with them ultimately. So
yeah, there's no question.
Throw that out there.
There's no question that spending time with someone registers. You know, that's just 100%. They can totally tell. So yeah, I mean, I think do things like that and like incorporate like things that are meaningful. Like, yeah, I mean, like you're again, like your dad being at your wedding, if he's already forgetting things, like, is he going to even remember that? Exactly. Like your dad just wants you to be happy. I mean, I think is the bottom line. And things like, if you want things that are register, what I found is comedy and music were the two things that no matter how far gone my dad's brain was, those are the two things that up until the end would register. His sense of humor was always the same, even if he couldn't remember anything. And he definitely remembered like lyrics to songs, especially songs from like his, you know, his childhood. Like, so whatever, like, you know, for a guy that age, a lot of times it's the Beatles. But whatever that is to you, go into that and like kind of spend time like that. I think you're just like kind of worried about things that it seems like he probably already has like lifted past this realm, you know, like he's already like in the next stage, and you're worried about like these like mortal issues. No one's worried about these things. Do whatever you want to do, but certainly don't have a wedding just because your dad's dying. To me, that's panic mode behavior. Yeah. And as people start to die in your life, everyone will go into panic mode behavior. It's just what it is. And you'll see how unprepared people are to face death.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of embarrassing.
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed by
how do you mean they're unprepared to face death? Like
this is not a fucking surprise,
right?
Death is coming for us all
of us.
I wasn't prepared for my dad to die in his 60s, but
it was so quick.
But also like, you know, I know so many people whose dads, you know, died in their 20s or 30s, like when the dad was that age, not when they were that age. Like, death kills little children. Like, like, I don't know, just be ready for it. You never know when it's coming. Don't put things off. But I mean, but also like if you never wanted a wedding before, if you have this sudden urge to have a wedding, I don't think that's real. I think that's anxiety.
Yeah. And thanks for reminding me that my mom lied about to be dead.
That was really funny. Yes, Eric. Death is coming for you too.
I know it is.
We're all going to die. I mean, you youngster.
Oh, it's coming for Eric at a rapid pace because of the way he treats his body.
I got to get that vitamin Z, dog.
Yeah.
What were you want to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, if it is such a big deal for the dad for him to see you get married, and he is like going mentally. I mean, you just
do a backyard wedding.
Yeah, get some rings. Get a guy who's good at Photoshop, a couple frames.
Yeah, literally fake it.
Yeah.
Wow, Eric wants your last memory with your father to be a lie.
Like the moon landing. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Just an absolute lie.
Do you want to get married, Eric? What does marriage mean to you? The idea of it.
I feel like Eric was dying inside to get married. He's a little sweetie pie.
No, I don't know. I've only seen divorce happen. I don't know.
Oh,
are your parents divorced?
Yeah.
Trauma. Is that your trauma?
I don't know if it's trauma.
I don't know. You tell me.
Doesn't feel like it.
Good. That's great.
Yeah, no, we're not trying to create trauma.
No,
where there is
exactly.
None.
And
we're not a therapist.
Yeah, and a lot of times, divorce is way better than staying together, because then you're just going to fight, and then that's traumatizing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, that's a good suggestion, Eric. Thank you for chiming in. If you are in Springfield, Missouri, I'm going to be headlining the Blue Room March 22nd and 23rd. I'm super pumped for that. And as always, I have a Patreon where once a week I do group Zoom therapy. It's not technically therapy because I'm not a licensed therapist, but we just go around and share whatever we want. And there's a $5 level where you could sign up and just listen to the audio from all those Zooms. And I'm also going to be doing bonus readings of this book, Supercharged Self-Healing by R.J. Spina, on that level. So I'm very excited about that. And check out The Voices in Our Heads. Comes out every Monday, where I talk about things that go on in my life, but also at the end, I'll read a self-help book. And guys, I'm getting so good at reading out loud. It's not even fucking funny. Okay? Once you cringe for years over how bad you are at reading out loud, eventually you fix it. And I fixed it. Woo! But I still make mistakes. But anyway, it's a great book. And you don't have to be in dire physical condition to get something out of it. It's basically how we are all much more powerful than we could ever realize, and that your body is actually this magical, beautiful thing that's capable of healing beyond what the medical industry has told us. And I'm very excited to share all that with you. So check it out.
And this tour that I've been teasing for a while, the dates are finally locked in. Corinne Fisher's Eye of the Tiger Tour 2024. It's a 14-city tour. Chloe LeBranch will be featuring me for all of these shows. It's great. You can get tickets at CorinneFisher.com. And here is the list of cities. Tampa, April 17th. Miami, April 18th. Atlanta, April 19th and 20th. Columbus, Ohio, April 25th. Raleigh, North Carolina, April 30th. 30th, Philadelphia, May 1st, Boston, May 2nd, Portland, Oregon, May 14th, San Francisco, May 15th, Sacramento, May 16th, Seattle, May 17th, Houston, June 27th, Austin, June 28th and 29th, and Salt Lake City, Utah, September 26th. Again, a lot of these are kind of like big one-offs. Some of them are a couple of shows, a couple days, but please, if you're going to come, again, buy the tickets now. Because it does, if these things don't sell properly, it does put them in jeopardy of being canceled. Like buying same day, so many, the shows in Washington, D.C. were incredible, but like literally hundreds of tickets selling day of.
Are you serious?
You can't do that to me.
Guys, don't do that to her.
Please, you can't do that
Don't do that to anyone you love.
It was great, but like you don't understand how you can't do that.
I got anxiety for you. That's terrible.
You cannot do that. The amount of tickets that we're selling day of.
Oh,
okay.
God. Yeah, you got to get them now.
I just don't think I just don't think you realize the personal stress we are put under. All right. So again, CorinneFisher.com for all those dates. Eye of the Tiger tour. Amazing. And then of course, if you want to listen to me get political going into this, what looks like to be Trump versus Biden 2024 presidential election, things are heating the fuck up. Make sure to listen to Without a Country podcast. Comes out every Wednesday night on YouTube and then full audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Shit's getting up, guys. C-SPAN knows about me, guys. Shit's eating up. I'm an older AOC. Yes.
Can I get your political opinion on something?
Sure.
It has been brought to my attention over the years that, and throughout the history, like the government, it seems like the government, a government of any kind, but
sure.
like let's take the United States government, for example. They really kind of rely on, because there's so much fucking corruption to the point where it's like a government is synonymous with corruption. I mean, it's just, it's nauseating. But
although not as much. Okay, so I will say, but although not, I agree, but not as much as I initially thought, because then Hillary would have won the election. Like if America was truly as corrupt as some people had suspected, Hillary would have won that election.
Okay.
That was actually to me revealing that we do our democracy is, I think, more intact than a lot of people would think.
That's good.
Yes.
Because I watched this docuseries called The Octopus Murders.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Is that on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. I believe it's on Netflix or Hulu. I think it's Netflix. But it's this investigative journalist who oh my God. It's basically this journalist was murdered by the government. It was so clear as day.
Yeah.
Because they stole some software code and then they started, the US government, there's proof of this, started selling that exact software, security software to other countries, but they had a guy put a back door in the software code so they could spy on other countries.
Interesting, yeah.
And they had the government had all these people killed. And then throughout time, like they've had leaders killed. It's God damn. And so, but this kind of idea that the government wants the people of its citizens to be at odds with each other, to be fighting all the time, to have, because when you don't, when you can't agree with other citizens and you're just so caught up in the, I don't know, ego fucking hit of like you're a Trump guy and you're talking to a Hillary gal and you just want to fucking punch each other's heads until one of y'all bleeds out. The government loves that because then you can't rise up. The people can't bond together and band together.
You can't have a whole coup. They especially do that amongst low income people.
It's so fucked, man.
Like, stress
the citizens out.
The number one group that I think is pitted against each other is poor white people and poor black people.
Yeah.
Because it's such a large piece of the demographic, and if those people realized their similarities and joined together, they would be unstoppable, and that would be a problem.
Yeah. So I'm glad you agree, because it makes me rethink how I comment or talk to anybody who has opposite political beliefs. I'm like, no. I know we disagree. It's okay though, because we gotta mend. We got to band together. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of the joke. Like, when we are fighting, we are unknowingly becoming, kind of America's little soldiers. Yeah. When we are fighting at the way we are. And which is so interesting, because a lot of the talk, especially on the conservative right, is that, you want the ability to defend yourself, to own guns and stuff. And that's, they will tell you when you ask, like, that's because we always want the ability to fight the government.
Right.
But it's like, as long as you're fighting liberals against conservatives, you are fighting with the government and you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like that's of course it's on purpose.
Right. And it's like the people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th. It's like, okay, the government is corrupt, But you're thinking about it the wrong way, like for the wrong reasons, really. Like,
yeah, I think it's corrupt, but I actually don't think it's as
corrupt.
I don't think it's as excessively corrupt in this country as some, Pizzagate folks would agree. And I'm not even saying that like it's just like there's just some levels of conspiracy theory that's just going too deep. Like it's almost like in a relationship when you create an issue where there is none because you're bored.
Totally.
That's Pizzagate.
I was so impressed when France they tried to raise the retirement age by 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. They were out in those streets immediately, like absolutely the fuck not. And I was like, look at that unity. I know it's a much smaller country, but my God, isn't that nice to see everybody banding together?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, also a lot of times when you see comments from other countries, one of the main comments will be like, why is racism so severe in this country? And I mean, part of the reason I think we're not trying to correct it more is because, it works
Keeps everybody
in the government's
fighting.
favor. Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Yeah. And we're so trained as Americans, I think other countries really don't see color, but it is such a talked about issue in that country that when you're talking to someone, I don't understand. You can't get it out of your head. I'm talking to a black person. I'm talking to an Asian person. I'm talking to a Latino person. It's you are thinking. Yeah, even with a woman or man. I'm talking to a woman. I'm talking to a man. I'm talking to a queer person. There's so much identity discussion in America. We're just trained, and we're trained. This person is different. Even right now, it's weird. I feel like it would be hard at this time to even date someone of a different religion. I mean, not even of religion. It's just I don't know. It's crazy. We are being pitted against each other.
Yeah, it does feel like that. It really does feel like that. How are you?
I'm good. Oh, you know what?
Yes.
I was so excited because this was all over Instagram yesterday. It was the 25th anniversary of the movie Cruel Intentions.
Ugh.
Okay.
Ugh.
Crazy to even believe
Ryan.
that.
Oh my God.
I believe I was 12 because I think I was still in middle school when that came out. I remember vividly going to see it with Paula
in the theater.
And yes.
Nice.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to this movie because a lot of people wonder where a personality like this comes from. Some people with a rude tone and some people with a positive tone. And I will tell you, if you want to know what makes Corinne Fisher, I'm going to give 33.3% of the credit to the movie Cruel Intentions. This movie shaped who I am. It awakened my sexuality.
More than The Craft.
The Craft didn't awaken my sexuality. The Craft was just spoke to me in a language that I had been speaking to myself in.
Cruel Intentions made me
Cruel
horny.
Intentions, I mean, that was the first movie that showed me the power of a woman's sexuality in a way that was not demeaning to women. Sarah Michelle Gellar, my celebrity lookalike, this woman just
so hot.
Spoke to my fucking soul. The power she exudes in the way she uses her sexuality to control her stepbrother. Ryan Phillippe. This movie changed who I am as a person, and I just wanted to take a moment to salute it. If you have not seen Cruel Intentions, it is based off the film Dangerous Liaisons. Not as good because John Malkovich is just not hot. I'm going to be honest.
Hot people.
He's just not hot.
Ryan Phillippe's so hot.
Yeah, I watch it. It's a great movie. Period. But the Cruel Intentions, there's just something about it that will speak. And I think it really works. And someone that I follow on Instagram was reviewing Saltburn, and she said, it has Cruel Intentions vibes. And that's why I ran to watch the film. Yeah. And she's right. Obviously there's a lot more stylistic choices in Saltburn, and it gets weirder than Cruel Intentions ever does. But you can see the remnants, the seeds of Cruel Intention in Saltburn, and it's incredible. So thank you, Cruel Intentions. I had 2 huge posters. I think they're still hanging in my childhood bedroom, actually. One huge poster of Ryan Phillippe's face, one huge poster of Sarah Michelle Gellar's face, and man, did that amp me up. Paul and I saw that movie And then we went back and we started a club called the Cruel Whores. And it was just a hilarious club to start when you're 12 years old. I don't know who we thought we were being cruel or a whore towards.
The sexuality of a 12-year-old girl is pretty intense, I gotta say.
I mean, yeah, it was, we thought we were going to run that town. And by that town, I do mean Union, New Jersey. I don't even think there's cruel people there. And I guess there's whores there. I don't think there's any cruel whores though. I don't think there's anyone that has really learned to manipulate their sexuality in such a powerful way. But Cruel Intentions, thank you so much for just giving me the gift of really owning that 12-year-old sexuality.
Dude,
beautiful. It was a beautiful thing.
I kind of miss my 12-year-old sexuality.
Gorgeous.
It's just really like, you had this like, we're never going to die. We're going to own everything. It's just like fucking, it felt very powerful.
Oh, so powerful.
Really powerful.
Oh, beautiful.
That's when I started getting titties around 12, but they really came in at 15. But I was like, yeah. There's an interesting, so there's this graphic, there's a carousel floating around Instagram, in multiple accounts that I follow, a lot of like Beyonce accounts. Somebody must have paid to get this post everywhere. But I thought it was interesting. It's by the age of 32, you should be smart enough to realize this. And I'll read the first. Okay, so 1, your 9 to 5 is someone's passive income. Find new ways to make your money and create your own income stream. Skipping around, no one is coming to save you. Agree with that. You shouldn't take advice from people who are not where you want to be in life. If you find someone smarter than you, work with them, don't compete. Like all of this stuff I agree with. But one of the one part that they put it on the first slide, which I'm like, are you just doing this to the second slide technically, to start an argument in the comments and get engagement. But number 2 was porn and masturbation are the greatest killers of success. It will stunt and destroy your brain. And
Eric,
I was like,
is this true?
Exactly. That's exactly what I want to throw it to Eric. What say you, Eric? I mean, as somebody who is I'm an avid masturbator.
I think when they say masturbate, they're probably talking about male masturbation.
How's it different from women? Like
women can just masturbate and get back to life, I think.
Oh, men can't do that?
Well, women's brains are, I mean, this is like scientifically proven that women's brains are set up to multitask in a way that men's aren't. Men compartmentalize, which I actually, that makes sense to me. I can multitask. Obviously, I've spent years being an assistant to people, but when I want to really get work done, I definitely compartmentalize. Even like with my like grief, I literally sectioned off grief because I needed to mourn my dad's death, so I compartmentalized it.
Cry.
Did that, and then I had to handle my childhood best friend's death, and then my breakup with Dylan. Like those are all things I needed to grieve at the same time. But I literally chunked them off so that I could do one at a time. I don't know how I did that, but I did.
That's amazing,
and it worked great.
Eric.
What do I think about masturbation?
How often do you watch porn?
Like you achieve a lot. Do you feel like you have sacrificed some masturbation to achieve more, or have you worked in the masturbation? Again, there's no HR here, so don't even think about it.
Sorry.
No, I feel like masturbation comes with a lot of, if you have like a high workload, if you're a guy, you need to. Yeah. You need to.
Woo, where's my symbol?
We're 12.
I know.
I feel like you gotta.
Fucking wish I was 12 again.
If I have a day of 14 hours of editing, I jerk off probably 2-3 times.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
So wait, so you can bounce back after? So because after I jerk off, there's like a minute where I'm like, because I like to let those chemicals just wash over me like a nice shower of light, and then I just get back into it. So you guys can do that too.
Yeah, I mean,
he's young too. So what's the refractory period is shorter when you're young.
Yeah, it definitely is shorter. But I mean, it's like I feel like it's got to be very different as far as men and women. Like, because men, I'm just trying to get the evil out. It's like this tension that builds up over time, and then it's just like, oh, I can go back to being a person again.
Eric's performing an exorcism in the middle of editing our show.
I have had a lot of men describe masturbation as getting the evil out, and I was always like, all right. But then when multiple men do it, maybe there's something to it.
So like for you, you will be more productive because you are getting the distraction out of your body, correct?
Yeah, I'm clear-headed,
Yeah. It does clear your head. It's relaxing.
I basically only masturbate right before I'm going to go to bed because like just in the middle, that's the only time.
It's the ideal time.
Because it's just too much.
I don't know if you get like this, Eric, because I'm more horny like a guy, I think. If I get the idea during my day to masturbate, I got to go do it. or else I'm just gonna be thinking about it. Is that?
I don't know if it's the idea. It's just like, I got this thing and I have this thing and then I have to do this later. And it's like that.
Go wank.
You just go jerk off.
Pap.
And then you're like, okay, now I can calm down and look at this through a more
When you jerk off, do you watch porn?
Sometimes I don't use it frequently. Yeah.
Ooh,
wow, that's powerful.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
No, when you said you get the idea to masturbate in your head, so you're literally just getting the idea to masturbate. You're not getting a sexual idea that inspires you to masturbate. Because I never really just like, unless I have really, really high anxiety and I know that's the only way I can get to sleep.
Yeah.
That's the only reason when I'll get just the idea to masturbate. Usually it's something that sets me off that I'm like, oh no, I had this conversation or I had this interaction with a person and now I need to masturbate.
It's not a sexual thought that arises. It's a stress level. If my stress level gets to a certain point, which it does apparently every day, I just go, oop, time to get that vibrator out. Ooh, ooh.
Huh. Well, so then that what you just described, it seems like maybe you're not like as hypersexual as much as you are hyper stressed out.
What? Yeah, I'm just kind of always horny, and then when the idea pops into my brain, like sometimes,
a treat.
During during the day, the idea won't pop into my brain because I'm just like on a roll or in the flow state or whatever the fuck. And then other times it just will, and it's and I do watch porn, but it's weird. I always masturbate to the idea of my boyfriend fucking someone else in front of me.
I haven't watched porn in so long. I used to be really into porn, but not if it's been years. I just really can't watch it anymore. I'm not into it.
Eric, do you think that porn shapes how you view women or no?
I'm sure it's doing some damage below the surface, but I try to not let it impact my real life decisions.
That's sweet.
That's good. What kind of porn do you like?
What kind of porn do I like?
Like, do you got a go-to category?
Not necessarily. I mean, there are like certain. Like, is this just?
Are you nervous?
Now a little bit, yeah.
Do you want to stop talking about it?
This is a quiz now.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We can talk about it. I'm not afraid. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen?
I feel like I don't want to look at you either. I'm like, I'm sorry. Sorry, we're making him uncomfortable.
I feel like this is like I'm having a conversation with my nephew. I'm going to get reported. Go ahead, Ara. If you want to share, you can.
I don't know. Squirt is one.
Squirt? Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
That's a good one.
Okay.
That's a great one.
Threesome or group, just because it's interesting.
Classic.
A lot of people all having fun in the same room.
I feel like that's enough.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe later.
The third one gets real fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's what he just revealed.
Yeah, the third one is just piss and shit, and there's no sex.
Hey, there's something for everyone.
I don't mind piss. Shit's not really for me.
Yeah, because then you're going to get pink eye.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, thank you.
No,
my neighbor, I was talking to my neighbor today about the elevators in my building, and he just had the biggest sty on his eyelid, and I'm like, oh, this is tough. Please don't come near me. Go away. I'm sorry your wife shit in your eye, but I don't want that on me, okay?
No.
But you know who I do want on
Tell
me?
him to use Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo that gets the sty down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
You know who I do want on me in a conversational way? Our guest. Boy, these segments are smooth as butter.
That was smooth.
She is a stand-up comedian. She's the co-host of Bein' Ian with Jordan. And she has a stand-up special that you can watch for free on YouTube called 30 Minutes with Jordan Jensen. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
Jordan Jensen.